rejoice. Rejoice. Gaudete Sunday is here once again, hence the pink candle. And if we had all the money in the world, we would have pink hangings, all that sort of thing. But the idea of having to ask the altar guild to change the hangings that many times in one season is not really appealing to me. So I am grateful for the fact that we have the blue hangings, the blue vestments, and the pink candle to show the importance of this Sunday within the midst of all of Advent. Gaudete means rejoice in Latin. But I don't know about you, but lately, being like, wee, awesome, everything is awesome, feels like a really obnoxious thing, kind of like when I was in summer camp as a kid, and they would make us, or particularly when I was working as a camp counselor, stand at the doors at 8:30 in the morning. Now, teenagers, tell me, anyone like getting up at 8:30 in the morning? No. So imagine you're walking in and they're blasting like pop music, but hey, good morning, high five, woo, woo, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, I hate you. And I saw the look on the faces of kids coming in when I was in college, and I'm like, I feel you, man. This is not what I want to be doing at 8:30 in the morning either. However, rejoicing is an important thing. Now, you might think, so if this is Rejoicing Sunday, why on earth was the gospel reading from today, John the Baptist just slamming people? I feel like that should have been last week's gospel readings. Like, you want to be part of this? You better prepare the way. Bring justice. Stop extorting people. Stop treating people unfairly. Give to others if you have plenty to give. Don't assume that just because you have the ancestry from Abraham that you can claim that and that's all that you have to have. God's not concerned with your lineage as much as he is concerned with who you are. But what I like about the rest of the readings is the reminder that part of our story can be summed up by the psalm that says, sorrow may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. People are coming out of exile, coming out of slavery and the wilderness. They're coming into the land of promise, into the fullness, the life, the abundance of God. So, yeah, that's something worth rejoicing over. But it's also important to remember that rejoicing can only come after we've rekindled hope. Then we looked at what is the way we need to prepare and how do we prepare it. But now that we've kind of stepped through that in terms of our story, in terms of our liturgical season, we get to rejoice. So, in times where life seems really hard, when we find hope and we make our way through, we are able to rejoice, but it may not feel like a time where you want to celebrate things. And this reminds me of another important facet of our lives, which we've talked about before and will continue to talk about, which is good news. We rejoice at good news. We want to share that good news with other people. You know, evangelion, evangelize. Again, evangelism does not mean, hey, you should convert to my religion because I'm right and you're wrong. There's some really good news and I can't stop myself from sharing it with you. So today is a day to remember the good news of our story, both in Scripture and in our time and place in history, which is the closest in my lifetime that I have ever felt to what the Scriptures address. So you may not be feeling like rejoicing right now, and I totally get it. Raise your hand if you are exhausted. Raise your hand if you are sick to your gills of the past 2 years. Raise your hand if you're not sure you trust to hope that 2022 is going to somehow be a better year. It's okay to raise your hand. That's the beginning of faith right there, is doubt. But how do we keep hope? How do we rejoice at all times if we don't remind ourselves of the good things, even if it feels like this is so stupid, why are we doing this? So what I'd like to know, what are things that you rejoice over right now, in your lives right now?
Man.
What does it feel like for you before we started sharing things to rejoice about and to where after sharing? I had to do the same thing. I had to go, wait, I'm focusing so much on the things that I'm struggling with right now, that's clouding out all the good things that are going on. Even in the midst of despondent news, the reminder to rejoice, which is very much, that is, I think, one of the main essences of our tradition, both the Jewish people's story and then ours as followers of Jesus, is the reminder that even in the midst of calamity, even in the worst of human experiences, there is life to be found. That's why I'm so grateful that we have Gaudete Sunday in the middle of Advent, in the darkest time of the year in terms of sunlight. Gwen was chuckling with me yesterday because I'm like, why am I so tired? She's like, this is something you do every year right about this time. I think it's because you don't get enough sunlight. Like, that's a really good point. I feel so exhausted because I don't get my vitamin D fix like I normally do. And in the midst of that, what can we rejoice about? In the midst of challenging times, figuring out how to do travel in the midst of yet another variant, how to do church as we figure out what are the ways that we're going to do church. We're here, we're doing it, we're making it happen, and we have plenty of things to be thankful for in the midst of those things. So unlike trying to hype people up early in the morning, this is a way of reminding us, no. It's actually a discipline to think about the good things in life. And it's a discipline to share the good things in life. Some of you found it hard to even think about what was good, or were afraid to share it first because it took a little bit of coaxing and getting other people to do it. Some of you didn't feel comfortable at all, which is okay. But to remember that that's an important thing to make sure we do. So in the midst of whatever may challenge you, whatever may drag you down, the hope of God is one that surpasses all of that. That's why I now enjoy the phrase, the peace that surpasses all understanding comes from God. Reminds me that there is nothing that will ever fully take away the hope, the life, the way, and the peace that comes from God. So Gaudete, everybody, may we rejoice in the fact that God continues to reveal to us God's love and invites us into that journey together.